Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There may be strong language and adult themes. So with us on a rainy day in Minnesota, we have Jenny giving us the scenic view again.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're once again at Pettibone Park. This time we're kind of facing to the southeast because the rain is coming down like buckets. And if I'm in any other position, I can't keep my window open, and the window's clear of fog. So this is the view we get. It's a little bridge and just a little backwater of the Mississippi.
Yeah, I'm not sure which direction the storm's moving. I'm maybe 150, 200 miles northwest of you, so
yeah,
I can tell that it rained today, but it doesn't seem we've got anything coming down anymore. It's just overcast now.
I was looking at the radar. The front seems to be on a line from the northeast to the southwest, and the whole bunch of it is moving to the east. So
yeah, it's a pretty typical pattern here.
Yeah, but it's really raining hard. We haven't had this kind of rain yet this year.
So in the side chat, I see we have Greg Hartwick and Doc Fearsome and Ox.
Hi, guys.
How's everybody doing? As Greg is pointing out, it's International Mac and Cheese Day. I saw that one. Although, honestly, I'm just not that big on mac and cheese. Sloth Girl loves it.
I do, too. Yay, mac and cheese.
Ox is asking, I wonder if there's an anti-people day, and does anyone celebrate it?
They do, but only with dogs.
I think I could go for that one. A day where you just avoid people and stay home with your animals?
Yeah, you have to share pepperonis with your retriever. You know, like they did on that 101 Dalmatians. You know, yep. Eat it together and then kiss.
Hey, Bacon. Well, and if anybody is confused, I did wind up changing the stream theme at the last minute here, because I had been going with Pandemonium Day, but had not realized that today is International Non-Binary Day. And I had to go with that one because I wasn't going to miss it. So I definitely identify as non-binary. You know, even as I'm transitioning now, I'm still going to be non-binary. I'm never going to be 100% male or female. I'm always going to fall somewhere in the middle.
There's so many philosophical arguments that can go on with that whole concept of binary versus non-binary. How can you be non-binary if there's no binary? And how can you be binary if there's no non-binary? They're really quite dependent on each other. And if you're transitioning, what are you transitioning from and to if there's no binary?
Well, I'd always put it for me, you know, the best way I could express it to other people was being a percentage. Was that rather than being male or female, if you were going to put it on like a sliding scale, that I was more like, you know, and it would vary for me from day to day, but I don't think I ever got more to the point to being more than like 75% male.
Well, then you start to get into the discussion of, are you talking about gender roles, or are you talking about sexuality, or I should say sex in terms of appearance and behaviors?
Well, that's the thing, that we've got one word that is supposed to be encompassing multiple concepts, and that makes it very awkward.
Yeah. So I guess for me, we're all non-binary. We just don't like to admit it.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's why I think it's better, for people to look at it as being more of a sliding scale than an either or thing. Because I think for most people that, it does vary on different days and different situations
Mhm.
that, one or the other may be expressing more strongly.
Well, it's like when I got back into the community and learned all these new words that just didn't exist back in the 70s. It was really confusing, and I sat there and I had to wonder about myself. That okay, non-binary means this. Then since I was, in every physical sense, a woman for all my adult existence, but I was doing a quote unquote man's job. Does that make me non-binary? And it was just a real brain ache to try to think about.
Yeah, well, and that's for me, especially living with my fiance, it was very much a case of, doing the home repairs and making my living with power tools, that publicly people were seeing me as male because I was doing traditionally male roles. But when I was at home, I definitely was expressing much more as female.
Yeah, it's just weird to think about. What do you guys in the chat think? I would love to hear what a bunch of cis people have to say about this.
We had some comments already. I had highlighted a few there. I like Dox's here. You are you. Be the best you can be. That's all that matters. And then Bacon was saying, I always have a problem remembering what different terms mean, mainly because I don't identify that, and I don't see why I should have a say in how someone else feels about themselves.
Oh, but that's way different than recognizing the terms, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we create labels because we need to communicate with each other, and we need to understand what each other is saying. And
Yeah, well,
how we do that.
And what you were saying about, learning all these new terms when you got into this community, for me, that's pretty much my whole life on so many levels and in so many different areas has just been the discovery that, oh, there's a word for that. And that means there must be other people who are somewhat like me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't feel that I've really changed anything about myself. I've just developed a better vocabulary to help other people understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that's a valid way to look at it, I guess. What's also really hard, it's like when you're born, you grow up and you learn this language of your parents, and then you go to learn Spanish or German or something, and it's really hard. It's like, what do these words mean, and all this stuff, and it was kind of like that for me because I was raised in terms of gender and transition in the old school, where the only thing that existed was binary, and it wasn't called binary. It was just called male or female.
Yeah, well, and that's why I've had to point out to a lot of people that I was in elementary school in the early 70s. And at that time, society was wrestling with the idea that people using gay as a synonym for homosexual. And that was pissing a lot of people off because it was a new term to use it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that argument.
So this whole thing about the whole LGBTQ plus spectrum and all the different language with it, it's like, yeah, none of that existed because society was just starting to admit there were people that were gay.
Yeah. Which in itself is just whack,
Yeah.
How can you ignore, or at least
Well, ironically, few people seem to realize that heterosexual was actually a term coined as being an insult. It was a dig at married couples who had the audacity to be enjoying sex with no intention of having children.
Really?
Yes, that's what it was used by in the newspapers back in the 30s and 40s.
No kidding. I was not aware of that.
Yeah,
That's
because again, with especially the Catholic, but the whole religious influence, that the idea that you would enjoy sex and not be trying to have kids was a sin.
you mean like masturbation?
No, married couples having sex together
No, no.
without intending to create a child. The church saw that as being a sin.
I was just looking at other things that were sinful.
Yeah. If you enjoy it, it's a sin. That's what I got. That's my takeaway from growing up Catholic.
Back in the 70s, mid 70s, I was a volunteer and then paid employee of the underground switchboard, which is 24-hour crisis intervention hotline. And we had this very interesting library of reference materials, everything from hard and fast college level medical books. I spent many hours in the middle of the night when there's no calls coming in reading Goodman and Gilman, the pharmacological basis of therapeutics, and Taber's Encyclopedic Medical Dictionary, and all these kinds of things. Gray's Anatomy I read twice. But anyways, one of the reference materials we had, believe it or not, was the Boy Scout manual. And we had it for, well, one of the reasons we had it, it was good for reading quick first aid stuff over the phone.
Yeah.
But it also had this passage that went, I didn't memorize it, but this is fairly close to it, to paraphrase. Sometimes a boy will worry. And sometimes they'll worry so much that they want to touch themselves. They shouldn't worry that much, and they should never touch themselves. And they just went through all these gyrations to not say masturbate. It was just so comical.
I don't remember that. I think they had edited the Boy Scout manuals by the time I was in. I don't remember it making any references like that. But then again, I think they just edited out anything that might have been a reference to sex.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wondered if the Girl Scout manual had a similar phraseology. No, it can't. The Girl Scouts believe in lesbianism. That's a comment. That wasn't truth. That was comment. Oh, humans are so weird with our little trivial.
Yeah, I never did well in Boy Scouts, and that should have been, some of the incidents from that should have been earlier indications that I just wasn't going to fit into the male gender roles.
Yeah, I spent about 2 years, 2.5, 3 in the Boy Scouts trying really hard. I always wanted to wear the short pants, but I was told I shouldn't do that. Well, sissies wear short pants. Yeah, or people who are hot as fuck in the summer. Of course, I wanted to wear them in winter, too.
Yeah, Bacon says, now I'm going to go look at my wife and tell her I'm going into the bathroom and worry.
Makes you wonder what a worrywart is.
Yeah, and we have God the Good One. Hi.
Who came in?
God the Good One.
Hi.
He does some interesting live streams, does a lot of stuff driving around in Britain.
Oh. Like live action camera moving type stuff, or?
Yeah, No, just more, dashboard camera things and just him kind of narrating what's going on with his life and such.
Oh, so kind of a British version of CC?
No, I wouldn't throw CC on anyone.
Does this person know who CC is that we refer to? I refer to?
Oh, I don't know. God, have you encountered CC? Flat Earther? Well, anyway. Yeah, it's damp and rainy here, and that is making Sammy more clingy. I don't think he likes thunderstorms.
Yeah, I was really hoping, like I wrote you the note before the show, that we were going to get a lot of thunder and lightning, and it would be this really dramatic scene for us to look at today. But there was one that should have been seen on the camera.
Come on, pal. Just let me look.
No, it's a fair distance away, though. Yeah, a mile or two.
Oh, there we go. Is that fair? Sammy got something caught in his paw, but he doesn't want me messing with the toad beans.
Cats and dogs are weird that way.
There we go. I think I got it.
I had a German Shepherd once that did not want me touching her toes. And when you have to go trim the nails and clean out the pads and stuff.
Sammy's definitely ticklish in that regard. Hey, Nerdy.
I would reach for her foot, and before my hand reached it, she would bring her face down really fast and snap with quite a bit of force, but it was just in the air. She never touched me, but she was letting me know, I don't like this. Oh, I'm glad you love me. I miss that dog. She was so much fun.
Petunia, Sloth Girl's cat, is very bitey. She's calmed down a lot since we moved, but, and just, obviously she had been abused, so just touching her at all when we first got her from the shelter, she didn't know what it was for anybody to pet her, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
That anytime your hand got close, she thought you were going to hit her. So, I mean, it's amazing now that, Sloth Girl will be there doing her needlework or whatever, watching TV, and she'll hop up on the chair with her now, but it took 3 years to get her that far.
Yeah, my last dog, Cubby, was a rescue. Almost all my dogs are rescues. And
yeah, all of mine have been either strays or from shelters.
I got Cubby when he was about a year old. Actually, almost. It was 10 months old. And I don't believe in corporal punishment with dogs. It doesn't work. And it's cruel. And so I never, ever hit this dog. And even when we finally parted ways and he was 12 years old, if you raised your hand, he cowered like he was just going to get the shit beat out of him. And
yeah,
it tells me wherever he was for those first 10 months was awful bad.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to try and train animals that way, because if they don't understand why they're being hit, it's not discipline, it's just abuse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when you get home from work and the dog crapped on the kitchen floor.
Yeah, if it happened an hour ago, they've got no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It happened 20 seconds ago, they have no idea what you're talking about.
There's a couple of YouTube channels I follow that do animal rescues, especially cats. There's one called Flatbush Cats that they just, they're like trapping stray cats on the streets and trying to rehabilitate them to get them into good homes.
I love those stories.
Yeah. Well, when I lived in New York, I wound up getting 3 cats, bringing in from the feral colony that lived in the park. So they were all a process of them getting used to the idea of, first I'd leave food for them outside, and Then they got used to coming into the garage when the weather was cold and eventually getting them to come into the house. Yeah, 'cause I know what you mean. Some of them make me cry, and some of them get me really pissed off when I see the condition that some of these animals are left in. But yeah, it's very heartwarming to see them, when they can be brought to the point that they can trust somebody again and actually have a good home to live in for what's left of their lives. Having animals in the house has always been important to me. I do feel I was largely brought up by the cats we had when I was growing up. People largely ignored me.
Oh, that's sad.
Well, and since I'm back in therapy again, it's starting to churn up some old things, and I get fragments. Actually, I've got pretty much of a block on about 10 years of my life growing up.
Are you going? You can tell me to shut up and stop. Just get off the subject. Are they making you go to therapy because you're in transition, or is this something you chose because you're in transition? Or just
No, I found a therapist first before I started the medical transition. Apparently, there isn't actually any requirement for it here anymore. There had been years ago, but I guess they've gotten rid of that. Although it is useful for some things, like in order to get the gender marker changed on my birth certificate, there's like a half a ton of paperwork, but as long as I can get a psychiatrist or psychologist to sign off on it, they'll do it. So, but that's dealing with the state of Illinois for that.
Yeah. I still haven't found a lawyer in Milwaukee who will take care of my birth certificate. But I'm also putting conditions on it, so I'm making it difficult. I'm first of all looking for someone to do it pro bono.
Yeah, what you have to do to get that done varies a lot depending on which state the birth certificate's from.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I got lucky with that one. That, like I say, it's going to be a lot of paperwork. I'm not sure what the fees are going to be, but at least I don't need to have any kind of a lawyer involved.
I know some people who transitioned in like Germany. In Germany, it takes forever, and it costs thousands and thousands of dollars to change your name. And I don't think that's even including birth certificate.
Yeah, I've heard that people in some states have to go through things like that. Actually, I lived in a small park in upstate New York. I planted catnip outside the flower bed. The next day, I had like 30 high cats all over the yard. They destroyed the flower bed. I was actually thinking of that would be a way that, like, if you had a neighbor who was always annoying you, that you wanted to get revenge when they couldn't pin it on anyone, just seed their lawn with catnip so all the stray cats would hang out there.
Oh. That would be so evil. I'm gonna have to remember that one. That's something you do to animal haters.
Well, not to animal haters, because then they'd probably start abusing the cats, but...
Well, yeah, that's true. I would like to know the therapeutics behind catnip. What exactly is it doing for the cat? Why do they get so addicted to it so quickly?
From what I've read, apparently, it triggers the same kind of chemicals in their brain as the pheromones do. So basically, a strong dose of catnip for them is pretty much the same feeling for them as like falling in love.
Oh.
So I guess it's more similar to what chocolate does to people. That you get good chocolate, it ups the serotonins and oxycodines in your brain and the dopamine. Well, Ox says it's related to weed. That's why weed dealers can't own cats.
I've never known any cats that ate pot.
I haven't either, but my fiance, when one of her cats, Sophia, was getting old and she was having a lot of joint problems and things as she got older. So she did start getting the cat high because it obviously helped her. It obviously helped with joint pain that she moved around better. So she had started like having, you know, like the cat would be in a cardboard box and she'd like take in a big hit and blow the smoke in through the handhold. And the cat got so used to this that every time she lit the pipe, the cat immediately jumped into the box.
Yeah, I've seen people get their cats stoned, and that's definitely what they do. They become completely mellow out.
Oh, and yeah, I know a lot of people in our community get down on, you know, herbal remedies and that as being woo, but okay, it's woo if somebody claims they've got something that will cure everything. But a lot of these things do help with very specific treatments.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing I will recommend is catnip tea is good, particularly for menstrual cramps for women.
For me, it's just a given, and I wonder how you could question that certain plants don't do certain things to you. I mean, all the medications we have are plant-based. They're just refinements of chemicals that exist in the plants, and
yeah,
try to eliminate side effects and things like that. That's what the production of the drug is all about, not whether or not the effect is there. We know that nightshade is a poison and it'll kill you. We know that pot is something that'll get you high. We know that nicotine is very pleasurable, and all those are plants.
Okay, Ox is correcting themselves. According to Leafy.com, catnip and cannabis are unrelated species. Cannabis is part of the Cannabaceae family, which includes hemp, hops, nettle trees, and hackleberry. I didn't actually realize that hops was related to cannabis.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Catnip, on the other hand, is a member of the Lamiaceae family, which includes mint, basil, rosemary, oregano, sage, thyme, and lavender. Yeah, I knew that catnip was in the same family with peppermint and spearmint.
I've known dogs that are real into peppermint. That crave it when you have it.
I keep a bottle of peppermint spirits around. I find that, you know, for digestive problems, especially if I'm feeling gassy, it helps to put a few drops of the peppermint spirits in my tea. Yeah, Lone Wanderer says, I'm big on the herbal medicine. It's what we had before pharmacists started poisoning us with synthetics. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say poisoning, but yeah, there's synthetics for a lot of things just because they're too hard to find, or, you know, Mostly it's usually for economic reasons, that to extract enough of it from natural sources would be too expensive.
If you're an herbalist, have you ever tried chewing willow bark for pain relief?
I'm sorry, what was that? I was coughing.
Willow bark for pain relief.
Oh yeah, well that's what aspirin originally came from.
Ding 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 ding.
Yep.
And I don't know the formula, but they say any first year chemistry student could extract it and produce some aspirin. It's that simple.
Yep. Bacon said I'd be hypocritical if I said plants can't help with things. That smoking's been a lot better for my back than pain pills. Yeah, I'm with that too. You can get it here with a prescription. I've been thinking I should talk to my doctor about that and see. Mostly I'm wondering if it would help with my arthritis, because I am kind of concerned with long-term use of ibuprofen is noted for causing kidney failure.
And heart issues.
Yeah.
That's what nailed my heart real bad.
So I'm kind of wondering if there's some other alternatives for that for me to deal with the arthritis.
Well, all the NSAIDs are yucky.
Yeah.
I ended up settling with naproxen because it was the lowest dose for effectiveness NSAID that I found. That you can really take just two of them and they're good for 10, 12 hours.
Yeah, I alternate between the ibuprofen and the naproxen. Basically, I find if I take either one of them for very long, the effects start diminishing.
Mm. And I take my quarter aspirin every day.
Yep. Yak says you can chew on the willow or brew it with tea. And that's, I did get, I picked a bit of the, what's the term? The herbal medicines. I picked up a fair bit of that during my years as a pagan, and yeah, I found some of it's very effective. So there are various things that I use in my tea that way. Like I say, the point is just knowing specifically which plants help with which conditions. If anybody tells you that one plant is going to help with, your digestion and your joint pain and 6 other things, that's probably getting into the woo. Oh. Rain's really picking up on you.
Yeah, it's changed direction a little bit, so I gotta change direction a little bit.
Yeah. Oh. Only problem now is if the sun comes out, it's going to get unbearably humid again.
The sun is going to be out for a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
How's that for a view?
So is that just seeing the opposite shore of the river, or have we got an island there?
No, that's just a little kind of a jetty into the pond. This must have some underground connection, because I look on a map and stuff. I don't see where this thing starts from the Mississippi, but it's always at the same level of the Mississippi, and so I think it's fed underground. But I don't know for sure. I'm just kind of guessing.
Well, even if there isn't like an obvious connection to it, it could just be that the soil in between is so saturated that keeps them at the same level.
Yeah, I suspect this was man-made. This whole park was a property that was owned by this Pettibone family, and 100 years ago, they invested a bunch of money and turned it into a park, and so, that's closed, of course, roadways and, little shelters and, for picnics and stuff. But I think in this case, it was also digging a big old pond.
Just to have a pond for rowboats or something?
Yeah, because that's where we're parked at. It looks like a good 3.
I can see that, if you're saying that, yeah.
4 or 5
If you're
acres.
saying that, like, for the 1920s or that was a kind of a popular pastime then.
Mm-hmm.
Go have a picnic in the park and go row a boat out on the pond for a little while.
Yeah. And it's kind of in the middle of the park, but I just don't see any tributaries that actually connect with the Mississippi. So, but it's got it. There's no way the water could stay fresh if it wasn't connected somehow. It's a nice park, very peaceful most of the time. It gets ridiculously busy on the holidays, or on 4th of July, especially because they do all the fireworks across the river.
Uh-huh. Oh. Rick. So it's just a pretty quiet day around here now.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Just kind of wonder where everybody is.
The sound of the rain kind of puts me to sleep. I
can see that.
I use all these white noise videos on YouTube. And the one I like the most is the gentle rainstorm with the Tibetan bowls.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm conditioned, so when I hear rain, I start getting sleepy.
One of my ex's thunderstorms used to make her horny.
Oh. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Never quite got the connection, but hey, it worked. Although it was more of a problem when the kids were home.
Yeah, that could be problematic.
Oh. Sammy's finally settling in. He figures he can take a nap as long as he's on me.
The people who run this park are not very smart about invasive species.
Oh.
They've got these small patches of purple loosestrife on the shore of the pond here, and if they would yank them now, they would slow down the spread immensely.
Mm-hmm.
But it will take over everything. Purple loosestrife is a nasty. It's very pretty. But
yeah. Bacon says going to sleep, I'll either listen to space ambient music or Mystery Science Theater 3K.
Yeah, I never got the space environment stuff. Space is silent, you know.
Yeah, I wish I could find anything that would put me to sleep, but nothing works with any consistency.
Well, try the Tibetan bowls.
Ox said they got him a Keurig coffee pot for his computer. Now all I need is a urinal in the corner and a barbecue grill.
I want a computer chair with a toilet, just like Homer Simpson.
Yeah, I actually saw somebody was literally selling a recliner that had that option. Yeah.
How could you actually own something like that and use it that way? That's just disgusting.
The only excuse I can find is if your legs literally don't work. Even then, I think I would prefer to just drag myself to the bathroom. And after my hernia surgery, I did that for about 2 weeks. I had to crawl on my hands and knees to go to the bathroom because it was too painful to stand up.
Oh, hey, Purple, I want you to write this down. It's a website. Benefits.gov. And then this applies to everybody, not just if you're living in Minnesota, but everyone. It's this questionnaire that gets pretty in depth. Lots of topic areas. That questions you and helps to determine if you would be eligible for any kind of government assistance. You know, and I don't know your income, and I'm not going to ask, but you may be really surprised at what you qualify for. I did it yesterday, and I was blown away.
Is that just a Minnesota thing, or is that?
No, that's a nationwide, and it asks you what state.
Hey, Doc.
So it, narrows it down and starts to guide you towards your own state thing.
Yeah, I've been trying to find things like that, for Diana, because I really think that there's a lot of stuff she's eligible for, but it sounds like her social worker sucks and doesn't want to bother with anything.
Well, you would have to know some things about her income to go through the benefits.gov questionnaire.
Okay. Yeah, I've got the webpage here open. I'll look at it after the stream's over. I'm in a situation I'm doing okay now, but there might be something useful there.
Well, apparently I am technically eligible for Medicaid.
I would have thought you would be. That, just from what I knew of your situation. I'm on a partial disability. They figure I can work a little less than half time. But, I can get Medicaid on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently the income max in Minnesota is like $24,000.
Yeah, Minnesota's really good for it because I know it is like twice what it is for a lot of other states.
Yeah, because I'm over 65, my statistic is different. My limit is 17,000, and I make a lot less than that on Social Security.
Well, that's what I mean. I figured, most people who are collecting Social Security should be eligible for it, unless they were like, working a job that was paying $100,000 before they retired.
I get to have no medical insurance at all.
Oh, Doc.
Hi.
Hi. Doesn't your company have to provide something? Or are you not? They don't give you enough hours for that, huh?
No, they do, but you have to pay every paycheck, and like the cheapest one is like $60 a paycheck,
Oh, that's
and
so cheap.
it's shit. It's like a $6,000 deductible.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does anybody even begin to think that people can afford that?
Yeah.
Because the people who are setting those policies, the CEOs and so forth, never actually have to deal with having to think about how they spend their money.
And they actually were providing that for us for free. The the cheapest, shittiest one. But once COVID hit and the economy tanked and our business tanked, they had to start charging us for it. So most of us opted out. We had no choice. It's $120 a month
Uh-huh.
for completely worthless insurance.
It might be worth checking if there's any chance that you could qualify for Medicaid where you live.
I could try again, because when I had my last job and I made more money there, I tried for the free medical, and I was like something like I think $120 a year over the limit. So
Have your hours cut.
yeah, by like 2 days a year, and I would have been fine.
Yeah.
And you being so close to Minnesota, you should consider moving your ass north.
Maybe, but I don't know. I'm a little bit entrenched with my job.
Well, I've got a plan here. I think that St. Cloud is a small enough city that we can keep moving people here until we can take over the city council, and then we can work out from there.
Well, that'd be fun. I would love to see a town controlled by politicians that are all trans. That would be great.
A couple times. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, a couple times I mentioned to my boss I might have to get another part-time job to make a little extra money, because I can't really afford anything, and all she could say was, you can't quit here, you can't quit here. She just kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, oh, I wasn't planning on that. I'm just
Yeah, you can't
getting
quit,
a little
but we're
extra
not going to pay you enough for you to live on.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
I know you were having issues just about not being able to afford your basic over-the-counter medications.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I guess for a while there after I moved, it was
it was right after
hard.
you got your new apartment.
But
So,
I've managed to kind of build things up, although the stimulus checks definitely saved my ass.
Yeah.
Did you catch on the national news yesterday? One of the stories going around was an entire crew of a Burger King in some state, I don't know where, all quit at once.
Huh.
Because they were sick of the working conditions and the lack of pay and lack of bennies.
Yeah.
And conditions of that particular store were quite bad. And Burger King got a hold of it and said, well, we're gonna look. This does not fit our intent of how people should be treated. So
yeah, the corporation's just going to say, well, it was the franchise owner, that we don't endorse those policies.
Well, I understand that shit happens. A guy who mismanages a place is smart enough to know that he's got to hide that and will try to protect himself. So
Yeah.
why would corporate know that it's going on? So once they do something, that's all right. That's
Yeah, I think everybody should be required to work fast food for at least a while. You need to get some appreciation for what the people working a minimum wage job and having to deal with the public have to go through.
That's a hard job too. That's a really hard job. You're pressed to have people's meals ready in like 3 minutes.
oh yeah, and there's Karens all over the place.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah, I've been through that a couple of times when I couldn't find any other work. The last one I was doing was working closing at Subway, which meant I was basically the only person in the store for about 4 or 5 hours in the evening.
I'm the only employee in my shift.
Yeah.
I just crossed paths with a couple coworkers during shift change.
Yeah, I kind of figured it was just like you and maybe some cleaning crew at those hours.
No, I am the cleaning crew. All by myself. Yeah, that's what I do all night is clean, clean, clean every night.
Well, that's all a nurse who works in an ER does when there's no patients, which is more often than you would think. So
Yeah.
it's not just you.
Well, hospitals need constant cleaning too.
Well, and especially the ER when you've got just people traipsing through there and, never any idea of what half of the people might be carrying. Oh, yep.
Whoa, that was a big one.
I didn't hear that one.
6, 7, 8.
So, Doc, you had anything else going on lately, or are you just working all the time?
Oh, the work has actually been kind of rough the last month. A few weeks ago, we had a bunch of housekeeping quit, and we all pretty much had to step up. I ended up having to give up my 2 nights off one week, and then I had one night off the next week, and it was fun. So, like, I worked 11 nights in a row, had one night off, worked another 5, and
The pandemic has really changed people. All these people who were considered essential workers, were forced to work during it all. So they had to be at work doing their job in masks and all that crap, and most of them didn't get any better pay. And people are just sick of it. That you're working me like a dog. You're calling me essential, and then you pay me like I'm shit. And they're sick of it.
yeah.
Well, the politicians were calling them essential because when they called them expendable, it didn't play well to test audiences.
Well, and the weird thing is, I don't know if I was ever considered essential. Nobody ever came around and said, hotel workers are essential.
Did it stay open?
But we absolutely stayed open, and I've been working all the same essential. all through the pandemic. So
yeah, well, you were definitely considered essential if you were the only one there for anyone having to check in at the late hours.
Yeah. but like in the beginning there, the my manager didn't even know if they were gonna like shut down the hotel or what was gonna happen, you know.
I wondered
And
about that a lot with the hotels because, obviously,
uh,
if not many people were traveling state to state.
well, and I looked up our list of what was considered essential workers, and there was there was one on the list that said something about uh, people involved in housing. Um, I don't know what that exactly meant. Like, I don't know, landlords or something, or people trying to find, people places to live or whatever it was. But I wondered if we fell under that, because even if we're like temporary housing, I guess we're, people can live in our buildings.
Yeah, I know in some areas they were doing that about, housing people in hotels, and especially some places that they wanted to get the homeless people off the streets.
Yep, but yeah, whether I was essential or not, I've been working through the whole pandemic. I've been wearing a mask at work. The company hasn't changed their policy at all, so I'm still wearing my mask at work and in public.
Well,
even though I'm
this
even though
variant
I'm
coming
fully
down
vaccinated, so but I do it anyway, so
with this variant coming down the railroad tracks, everybody's going to be wearing a mask again pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, they didn't take it seriously again, so we're probably going to go back to where we were last spring.
well, I'm actually kind of pleased that an extremely high majority of the people who are coming down with it now are people who didn't get vaccinated. Oh, gee, too bad. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, well, the part of it that bothers me is that in most areas, no one under 16 was eligible to get vaccinated. So, we're going to be killing off a lot of kids who didn't even have the option.
Yeah, well, there was a whole lot of kids who were voluntarily not getting them either.
Yeah,
The
well,
18 to 30, 40-year-olds.
yeah, that's a separate issue. But yeah, you can definitely see that, yeah, there's a direct correlation between the areas that have the most new cases and the areas that had the least people getting vaccinated. Funny
Yep.
that.
And so I don't have any sense of, gee, that's too bad. Or that we should be bending over backwards for the folks. They had their chance.
Well, like I say, though, there's people who didn't have the choice, and those are the only ones I feel bad about. I mean, people who had the option to get vaccinated, yeah, that's on them.
That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about the anti-vaxxers. And any anti-vaxxer who's got it, well, that's what you deserve. You earned it. Now own it.
I am wondering how it's going to affect the future elections because it is a disproportionate amount of Republicans who are gotten it. So how many of these people are going to finally realize that, gee, maybe the politicians were lying to us and maybe COVID was a real thing?
When are the Republicans going to realize that their bullshit is killing off their voting base?
I think they've come to realize that already, but they realized it too late. Because, yeah, unfortunately, a big part of the Republican voting base has always been, the elderly, the people past retirement age. And that's one of the sectors that got hit the worst. On the other hand, I firmly believe that some Republicans had the idea that, hey, if we kill off enough of the elderly, it'll help balance Social Security.
I doubt that was their concern. They don't have any interest in balancing Social Security. They have concern in ending Social Security.
Well, no, see, their concern with Social Security is that they borrowed a shitload of money from it that they don't want to pay back.
That they never would.
That's the only
They
reason
never
Social
will.
Security is going bankrupt.
And Social Security is not going bankrupt.
No, Social Security would be fine on its own. It's just all the money they took out of the system. And like I say, they don't want to have to pay that back, so they're trying to find some way to make the system stable without them having to pay back the money they took from it.
Insane. I don't know. I'm confused though because I've seen a few doctors and like the CDC and everything is saying we don't really need the Pfizer booster. But Pfizer is like trying to get it approved and everything, and it's processing it and everything, just in case we do need it.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical on the boosters. You know, because I don't know whether or not they're actually addressing the new variants with them. And unfortunately, I read something that Pfizer probably didn't want going public, that one of their concerns was that the vaccine was being too effective and that it might last longer than they had anticipated, which meant that they couldn't sell people on getting revaccinated as often.
That sounds like a bunch of urban mythology.
No, I was reading it out one of the trade journals. I forget which one.
I will be back. I have to go use the outhouse.
Okay. And unfortunately, that's the problem. That these days, it's like I don't know what to believe, and it's like,
Yeah,
I don't want to put the stuff down right away. But on the other hand, I am pretty cynical about corporations doing anything to make a buck.
yeah, this is true, unfortunately, in a profit-driven system. Yeah, we did get a little rain here earlier, but I think it's pretty well stopped now. Still a bit cloudy, but it's still too bright out.
Yeah, I think here even the clouds I think are starting to move on. Oh, hey, AT. Then it seems to be starting to get a bit brighter around here.
Yeah, unfortunately. The sun and I are not friends.
No, I tend to keep it at a distance. I mean, for me, even here, I still got the blinds half closed. I am told by my doctors and such that I should probably get a little more of it.
I probably should too, but it just sucks to be out in it. I really should get some kind of goggles because like light still seeps in around the glasses,
Yeah.
around the lenses.
Well, yeah, I've got the really big sunglasses with the wraparound sides, but yeah, I still get some around the edges.
I'm gonna end up getting freaking Riddick goggles.
Yeah, me too. That if I'm out in the direct sunlight very long, it gives me migraines.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can definitely get. I mean, I get like instant eye pain from light that's too bright and just about any fucking sunlight. Like even if like when the sun's coming up and it's like still kind of dark blue, but the sun's not quite up yet. My eyes are already aching.
Yeah. Well, for me, even like now with the cloud cover, I'm actually sensitive to the UV. So even on days
Yeah.
that's fairly overcast, that people don't think it's that bright, it's still a strain for me.
Yep. Yep. It's still even. I mean, it has to be like apocalyptically black in the sky, like a seriously thick layer of clouds for me to even think about like lifting my shades off for a second.
Ginny's on the move again. Yuck.
We're gonna try for a river shot here and see how wet I get. my whole left side is soaked. Oh,
But
We must have just caught the edge of that storm or something, maybe.
well, Jenny was saying it was heading toward the southeast. That I could see it had passed over me a couple hours ago.
here, can you see the paddle boat? It's probably pretty tiny in the view.
Yeah, I'm really not making out the boat here. Let me try and enlarge you and see if I can see it better.
There's a black dot on the water, I see.
Yeah, it's one of the navigation buoys.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's
okay. I see it. Yeah, I see the boat by the far bank there, or at least I did until that last raindrop hit and obscured it.
Yeah, I guess there's some giant-sized paddle boat going to come and park here for a while.
Wonder what that's about.
Oh, it's just a money-making thing. In Iowa, they got a paddle boat. I don't know if it ever actually goes out on the river, but it sits there at the docks, and it's a gambling casino.
Now, see, I'd always wondered about that. I'd always thought that they should do that about having paddle boats that were casinos. And then you get into some questions about how do they determine which state it's operating in if the river's the borderline between two states.
I think it's called the Lady of the Lake, isn't it?
I don't know. Never been there. There's parts of the Mississippi here that are 100% in Minnesota, and there are parts of it that are 100% in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Depends where it is, and it depends how the boundaries determine.
Yeah, one of the here, it's all in Wisconsin.
Yeah, one of the odd things is that, like for the state of Illinois, they define the Missouri River as being the state line. So when the river changed course, a town actually changed which state it was in.
Crazy.
Because the river changed course and turned the town into an island, which shifted it into Missouri instead of being in Illinois.
No, the Missouri comes into the Mississippi.
Or not the Missouri. Which river is that? That's the other side of Illinois.
The Ohio?
No. No, it's further west.
West?
I'd have to look at the map. Yeah, what's the western border of Illinois?
Missouri, and then I think a bit of it in Arkansas.
Well, then that would be the Missouri River there.
No, the Missouri comes in at St. Louis. Are you thinking of the New Madrid Fault?
Well, I couldn't tell you. My geography is so bad. I think Nicaragua is that stuff tobacco chewers spit out.
No, that's disgusting. Well, the rain has definitely slowed down quite a bit. What time you got, Perp?
Only 10 after 1.
Okay.
Yeah, it is the Missouri River. It does make up part of the border of Illinois.
Really?
Well, like you say, it's around St. Louis where they come together.
Okay.
I have to look that up again to see what the town was.
And why is it called the Missouri River when everything else is in another state? Just a little piece that's in Missouri.
Oh wow, Ox! I have a peculiar sensitivity to blue light myself. I used to deliver pizzas for Casey's here in Iowa, and I had a customer that had a blue light on his porch for some reason, and it was awful. like when I had to stand in it, it was just it would fuck with me in such a weird way. It hurt, but it also just felt weird. Like it made me feel weird.
Huh.
And I'm not fond of the blue headlights either.
No, I hate those blue headlights. Those are just blinding at night.
Yeah.
I really wish they would outlaw them altogether. Because they may be good for the person driving that car. They're really crap for anyone coming the opposite direction, so I think they're more of a hazard than anything.
They're not good for the person driving the car. Blue is the least sensitive area of our vision. And so if you're running blue headlights, you're seeing less than you should be able to with any other color light.
White or even yellow headlights would definitely be better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just my sensitivity because it is getting worse as I get older, but I'm quite sure headlights have gotten brighter over the years.
Have you been checked for cataracts lately? Maybe it's time.
It might be.
I was whining about headlights and stuff, and then they said, geez, we really ought to remove those cataracts. You're going to be able to see. And son of a gun, they took them out, and I can see at night again all over again. It's wonderful. Oh, lonely barge with only one container.
Yeah. Yeah, see, it sounds like light sensitivity is like far more common than I ever thought. But I've had jobs where people would not let me wear sunglasses, like when I was a cashier at a grocery store. Like they would not let me wear sunglasses.
Yeah, when I was doing the landscaping, my boss didn't like me wearing the sunglasses. And I'm like, no, this is not negotiable. If you're going to have me out in the sunlight for 8 to 10 hours a day, either I'm wearing these or I'm not working for you. That's it.
Yeah, I'm definitely at that point. I'm like, I totally have to do it. And I'm lucky right now I have a super cool boss. She I mean, we're in a very appearance freaking obsessed industry, and She hasn't seemed to give me much crap about it, but I'm willing to bet a lot of different managers would do the same, not allow me to wear my sunglasses. But it's only for like an hour or so in the morning when guests are checking out, in like the last hour of my shift, so that it's even like a big deal. So I think I'm lucky my boss doesn't give me shit about it, but she hasn't.
Yeah, doing the landscaping, he was afraid that I wouldn't be able to see stuff and I'd run over things laying in the grass.
Oh, I have no problem seeing through sunglasses during the day. It's the bright light that's going to cause me to not see.
Yeah, Ox is saying they had cataract surgery in both eyes in January. So,
isn't that a trip? Isn't that a trip, Ox? Is how good your vision gets afterwards?
It's something I have to watch out for because I know there's a tendency for them in my family. My mom had them removed from both eyes. Yeah, so far I haven't had them detected, but
my mom had cataract surgery before she was in her 40s, which is like way young. I at least made it to my 60s.
Yeah, most people, it's not until their 60s that they have to start having a issue with them. Of course, I grew up, I needed glasses quite a long time before I ever actually got them. So I grew up learning to do things differently. I'm just not as visually oriented as most people anyway. People are surprised by how many things I can do with my eyes closed.
I will never forget when I got my first pair of glasses. It was like a miracle. I was actually look at it and say, "Hey, that's where all those leaves come from."
Yeah, well, I remember when I got my first glasses, just driving home when I got my first glasses, that I was amazed it was actually possible to read the street signs without getting out of the car. That was a whole new experience for me and just never occurred to me that that was something most people could do.
My fourth grade teacher told my parents to take me to the eye doctor. Partway through the school year, one of the classmates had moved out, and so all the seats got rearranged, and I went from like one of the back seats to one of the front seats, and my grades improved. And the teacher noticed and said, "You get this one in for glasses."
Yeah,
and
that's why I'm surprised that it wasn't something that they picked up earlier when I was in school, because even sitting in the front row, I couldn't read the chalkboard. But there was a lot of shit they should have picked up on, and they didn't. They just wrote me off as being a classic underachiever.
Pretty
much. It wasn't until I was in high school that they realized I was dyslexic.
Yeah, I mostly slipped through the cracks myself.
Yeah. Well, I understand like the autism is something they didn't know about then. The fact that they didn't pick up I was dyslexic pissed me off, because my sister was diagnosed with it and she went through the same school 5 years ahead of me and had half of the same teachers.
And my brother...
You'd think it would have occurred to one of them to test me.
And my brother is about your age, and they didn't pick up on his dyslexia till almost high school.
No, and they didn't pick up on mine until I was a junior in high school.
And he grew up in one of the richest, most advanced school systems in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, but like I'm saying,
they didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, but they picked up on my sister having it in the same school system.
It was luck. All the shit that...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that they didn't test me for it if they already knew someone in my family had it.
That's because nobody understood the commonality of things like dyslexia and autism and ADHD and this kind of stuff. They just didn't know, and that's why nowadays we get all this backfighting from conservatives who say, "Oh well, everybody's faking this and faking that," and other. No, we're just learning how common these things are.
Yeah.
Because we're finally advanced enough that we can think instead of just react. And they want to pretend none of that exists. So, it's like when I talk about my age of going through transition versus the folks today. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing with us. They had no clue. But everything they learned about it, they apply to the kids now, and look what they're doing. It's just your lot in life. Just
Yeah.
It's
Greg, even in the late 90s, they were picking it up on kids a lot earlier. That one of the kids I helped raise, she wound up getting glasses when she was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now I think they actually do vision tests as part of their day-to-day stuff in public schools. They do that E shape, thing. Have the kids point which way the E is facing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they've cut that out. That's one of those.
Well, no, I think for a lot of public school systems that the vision screening is at least part of the whole thing they do of leading up even to letting them into kindergarten now.
Okay.
I'm sure, again, it probably varies from state to state.
My vision, I started out with good vision, and then it went bad sometime between like kindergarten and fourth grade. And my mom had talked to doctors that she knew then, and they blamed it on measles, that I had the measles, and it wrecked my eyeballs. Because I remember when I was in like kindergarten, my mom taking or first grade, I don't know exactly which, taking us outside and showing us Sputnik as it went around the sky, and weather balloons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
well,
and by the time I was in fourth grade, I couldn't see leaves on a tree.
I think that's why I have such a bad case of the prosopagnosia, the face blindness. And I wonder how much of that has to do with just having needed glasses as a child and not having them. So everybody's face was a blur to me. So I never, really learned the skill of differentiating facial features.
Interesting theory.
Because everyone I was dealing with was just a blur. So the only thing I could go by were the voices.
I didn't know you had that condition.
Yep. Pretty bad too. When anyone that I don't see, like at least a couple times a week, if I run into them in the store, I won't recognize them.
Huh.
I kind of wish I had that disease, except only when I looked in a mirror. I wouldn't have to remember what I looked like all the time. Yeesh.
It makes for a lot of really awkward social situations because people get insulted by it, and it's like, I'm sorry, it's something I really can't do anything about.
Yep, and that's sad. Humans are really vain. They don't seem to take other people's conditions into account.
Because if it's somebody who's even like part of a hobby group or something I'm in, so I see them like once or twice a month, but then I run into them in the grocery store and I don't recognize them. And people take that as being a personal slight that, gee, you didn't pay much attention to me or something. It's like, no, that's not the case. It's just
lack the ability to recognize faces, man.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't recognize
yeah.
faces, and to somewhat make up for that, I kind of take cues from the surroundings. So if I see them in an unfamiliar setting, that doesn't help.
I had the exact opposite problem with that. That I don't have a problem recognizing faces. And my first job out of high school was working for a local photographer who did lots and lots of yearbooks around the southeast part of the state. And so we were always photographing seniors and printing their packages that they order of faces. And so you're dealing with these images back in those days, like for maybe a whole day or 2 days that you're working face to face with this customer. They're not really there, but their picture you're looking at for a couple of days, and so it burns in your brain and it gets familiar. And for years, I would go around and I would see these faces, and I know I recognize that person. And a few opportunities I had to question people about that, and then I would ask them, "Where did you have your high school senior pictures done?" And some of them, it was a studio I worked at.
Yeah, because you were helping process the pictures.
Yeah.
Groovy.
I only worked there a year or so, so it was like only one or two classes that I was barraged with faces, and so eventually it didn't happen anymore.
Yeah, nerdy, I do much better with the voices. In fact, I'm actually more likely to recognize somebody if they come up behind me and start talking. If I hear the voice before I see their face, I'm more likely to recognize them. If I see the face first, I'm more likely to get confused.
That's kind of fascinating, if you don't mind my saying.
Yeah, it's just the way my brain, developed to process things.
Well,
I'm
and
used to doing a lot of things by sound and by tactile senses rather than things most people would do by sight.
I'm always very interested in how other people's experience, how other people experience the world.
Mm-hmm. It's something I've done a bit of study on. I've done a number of sensory deprivation experiments myself. One of the things I tried a couple of times was, bandaging my eyes and like having Sloth Girl take me to the mall with my eyes bandaged and just get an idea for what it's like for people that don't see at all.
Yeah.
It's a pretty scary thing out in public, that's for sure.
I've seen various television shows, documentary kind of stuff, when they're talking about human brains and how they work and stuff, where they've talked about some of these disorders, like I don't remember the name of one that you have, but facial recognition loss, and people who have it even more advanced, where they forget everything, name, face, place, just everything within minutes after experiencing it.
Well, and like the joke you made, there are some people who do have it to the point that they don't recognize their own face in the mirror.
And that's amazing to me how it, and they were perfectly normal before, but they had some sort of disease or injury or something, and then all of a sudden condition exists. That's fascinating to me how that happens.
Yeah, from what I understand, that area of the brain can be damaged. It can be something you're born with. There are genetic conditions that can cause it, or you can, like you said, get some kind of disease or injury. Just whatever damages that area of the brain.
Yeah, either a physical injury or sometimes even like a reaction to a medication.
Yeah.
The other one that's just fascinates the hell out of me is how people, and you don't hear about it real often, but it does happen where, again, they have disease or injury, and suddenly they can play the piano or something like that.
Yeah.
When they've never had any training in it, and all of a sudden they can do it. How can that be? Or
that one I still don't get.
Or they can suddenly speak a foreign language. how could you have possibly been exposed to a foreign language that much that it would already be in your brain? And
Wasn't there
never had been. So
wasn't there that one blind kid that like when he was a teenager, like I think it was when he was a teenager or a young adult, and he just like got up in the middle of the night, like his mother heard the piano playing, and she gets up, and it's her blind kid just sitting at the piano just playing songs like a badass.
yeah, no, I haven't heard that one. That's amazing.
My fiance told me that I speak German in my sleep, which I have no idea where I would have picked that up from.
You never took German in high school or anything?
No, I never studied language at all. So the only thing I can possibly think of is maybe having picked up a few phrases from watching too many war movies.
Well, didn't you grow up in a German family or parts of the state that were
No,
settled by Germans? And
no, actually, I grew up in a heavily Jewish community, so people probably would have gotten beat up for speaking German around there.
oh, the paddle boat's on the move. You notice that?
Yeah, but no, there isn't any of it in my family either. That my father's side is Polish, my mother's side is Finnish.
Interesting.
So yeah, I was never around anyone who spoke German.
Strange.
Pinkel auf dich.
Yeah, like I say, all I can think of is maybe I picked up a few random phrases from watching war movies. I did watch an awful lot of history documentaries when I was growing up.
Do you remember hearing any German in any of those?
Well, there were bits of it here and there, but, it was never part of the dialogue because it was always done for American audiences.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
The human brain is so very, very complex.
Yeah, so what, Jenny, you've got 3 o'clock as your appointment?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's just 1:30 now, so you still have an hour. Yep. Oh,
I'm sleepy today.
me too. I wonder if the weather's having some influence on it, because, I got a better than average sleep for me last night, but that's still better than average for me is still not what anyone else would call a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
Just for me, it means I got closer to 5 hours than 4.
for me, it pretty much happens when I have the night off. I had last night off, so instead of working and drinking coffee, and I just kind of sit in my chair and do whatever, watch shows or play video games. So I'm probably just extra sleepy because I didn't do much.
Well, are you working the rest of the week, or are you going to have another night off?
I got tonight off yet. So lately, my nights have changed to Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay.
So I'll only get to watch the Thursday night shows from work. So for a little while.
Yeah. So mostly
until
just
we
watching
hire-
on your phone, huh?
Yeah, we need to hire more housekeeping staff.
Yeah, but I'm sure that they're not in any hurry to hire anyone until business picks up.
Oh, we're actually doing a pretty big hiring drive because we're like pretty desperate. So like until September, they're giving like sign-on bonuses that new hires will be getting until September, like an extra $100 or $150 a check. So yeah, we're actually big time hiring, and on top of losing a lot of staff, it was perfect timing because we pretty much just hit our busy season. So like every weekend for the last 4 or 5 freaking weekends, we've been completely full.
Oh, okay. So bookings
So
are pretty
yeah,
good again.
we've been up to our arses in business. So that's most certainly not a concern.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Well, I
they should
also
start
didn't know if.
paying housekeeping better.
Sorry, what was that, Jenny?
Maybe they should start paying housekeepers better.
Yeah. Ours get paid $5 a room.
Oh, piecework? That's such bullshit.
Yeah.
Wait.
I don't know. I think they get paid in other ways. I don't know how their pay works, but for cleaning a room, they get $5. So in order to make $100 in a day, you have to clean 20 rooms.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right because I don't see how they could.
I don't know how they can.
Because they'd have to like be doing, like a room every 20 minutes or something, and just for
Yeah.
changing the sheets and that, I don't see how they could do that.
And we don't always have 20 rooms a day to clear, so it might be 30 or 40 departures on average. So that's like 2 people that can maybe make $100. But they also can sign in to hourly. So if they're not cleaning rooms and they're being put on another task, they can sign on to hourly, and I don't know what their hourly wage is. So I don't know if they get some extra pay beyond the 5 if they're just cleaning rooms or how it goes, but yeah.
Well,
Yox is saying his wife gets $16 an hour for house cleaning.
Yeah.
And obviously that's gonna vary quite a bit depending on the state and city.
all these restaurants are complaining about not being able to get enough wait staff. It's like, hey, your wait staff is still only paid $2.31 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny that people don't want to risk their lives for working below minimum wage. It's another thing that the U.S. has to get to where Europe is, that we've got to get rid of the tip idea and we've got to just be paying the wait staff a normal wage.
Yes, indeed.
They shouldn't have to be begging for the customers to pay them.
It's my understanding that the tradition of tipping started with the Depression. Restaurants managed to convince people to tip their wait staff, so they didn't have to pay them as much because businesses were dying in the Depression, of course.
I never knew the origin of it.
Yeah, that's what I read somewhere anyway. I don't know if
that would kind of make sense.
True, but
unfortunately, I know that. Go ahead, Jenny.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I know that's going to be one of the biggest effects of the COVID is that most of the chain places will manage to survive, but we're going to lose most of the family-owned businesses. So, all of the mom and pop shops and the family-owned restaurants, all the independent ones, we're going to be losing.
I caught a blurb on CNN this morning that CEOs continued to get more and more pay through the entire pandemic. And the average now CEO in America makes 299% more than the
God,
work.
that's sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually favor them even doing, legislatures that have been proposed that the top CEOs should not be paid more than like 30 times the lowest paid employee.
Isn't it in China or Japan that like CEOs can't make more than 10% more than their workers because
I
it's
don't know.
I
considered
don't specifically
dishonorable?
know of it, but that sounds like something Japan might do.
Yeah, it's considered dishonorable.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's 10% more than their worst paid workers or their best paid workers, or what all the nuance there is, but it sounds like a damn good policy America could use.
Well, we can't do that here. Jesus didn't say we should.
Yeah, well, here they take the other approach, is that the managers wind up getting bonuses for keeping the employee wages lower.
Yeah. Yeah, going over the payroll budget is a pretty big deal, and payroll budget tends to be one of the first things companies cut. Because why pay 8 people for to work your business when you can pay one and just expect them to do the same amount of work?
Yep.
It's
Or you
sick.
can close down a department and have some other department take over the responsibilities.
Yeah.
So that way you only have 6 people doing the work that had been done by 10 people.
Yep. It's sick. It's one of the reasons I quit Casey's. I hate that company so much. They were just cutting hours all the time. My manager there was like, I don't know where these hours are gonna come from. She's like, they don't give me enough hours to like cover the schedule.
Yeah.
Like just having a person there all the time means going over their budgeted hours, and they just kept cutting them all the time. And at the same time they're building and more stores all over the place, so it feels like they're using the payroll budget to expand their fucking stores.
Yeah, we've got a few of those cases out here. I didn't really know of anybody who had worked for one, though.
Yeah, they're typically an Iowa based company, but they have been expanding out into other states probably for the last decade, actually.
A
At
bit
least.
longer than that, because I know
Yeah.
I knew of at least 2 locations in Minnesota before I had moved to New York. So that was more like 13, 14 years ago.
Yep. So they're based in Ankeny, Iowa. I think it was. I've been to the corporate headquarters.
Yep.
Mwah.
Well, we're kind of getting it from both sides then, because we're also getting more Quick Trips around here, which is a
Yeah.
company based out of Wisconsin.
We've got a couple new ones. Probably a good 15 years ago now. Well, God, I don't know. I'll say at least 10 years ago now. All the come and goes came and went, so there's no more come and go. And they got bought out by Yesway. So So we've got Yes Ways, and then more recently, another chain has sprung up and been building stores everywhere, and that's Quick Star. We've got
Yeah.
freaking, I don't know, freaking 4 or 5 of them in town now.
Yeah, in
At
Minnesota, like
least.
before 2000, it was pretty much all that was, Holiday and Super America.
Hell,
And sometime in the 1980s, Super America even bought out all the 7-Elevens in Minnesota. But then since then, we've had a bunch of other places coming in.
yeah, I pass at least 2 Quick Stars just on my drive to work.
Hey, Dave.
I'm thinking there might be a third. Good morning, Dave.
Yeah, not morning. It's evening for Dave already.
No, but it's the 2001 Space Odyssey thing, the HAL 9000 thing. I'm trying to see how my HAL 9000 impression is going.
Oh man. I wish the rain would come back at least.
What happened, Dave? Did you not realize which account you were logging in under? You're wishing for more rain, Jenny?
Well, just so the wind would pick up.
Ah,
It's getting to be quite the sauna out here.
yep.
Mm.
Oh.
Boy, did I have a lousy experience. We didn't talk about this on the show yet. I lost my debit card. I'm not precisely sure when. It's sometime Friday, and I have no clue where it went.
Oh.
I know the last place I used it, and when I went to use it again the next Saturday morning, it wasn't there.
Oof.
And I just, what the fuck? And so I spent Saturday, backtracking my steps all everywhere I was and looking and asking if anybody turned it in, that kind of junk. Nope. And finally, Sunday, I called the company to cancel it and ordered a new one. And they got it to me yesterday. So it was like 2-day service on that.
Well, at least they give you a quick replacement on it.
Well, I had to pay for the overnight shipping with UPS, so that was $14 all by itself.
Oof.
Yeah, but if it's my only income is or cash source is my debit card,
Yeah.
kind of had to have it. I was out of gas. It came at a really bad time.
Oh, damn. Did you get a new card already, or?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, losing that is a shitty deal.
Well, it was going to have to be replaced soon anyways because it was expiring. So the new one replaces it with 4 or 5 more years on it. So I mean, I lived that long. Yeah, that's no fun. And nobody found it and tried to use it. So I checked my balance. I can do that online. And it was
Well, at least nobody else tried to use it.
Yep.
Well, they can
That's
try all
lucky.
they want now. It's canceled.
Well, maybe it's like still somewhere around the house or in your vehicle or something somewhere.
I tore the house apart. I tore the vehicle apart. I really looked hard. And like these things usually go, you find it, you get your new one and you find the old one. So it'll turn up one of these days, I suppose.
Okay, Ox, we'll see you when you get back, although I don't know why you're calling me phone.
I want Ox to change their last name to Acetylene.
Acetylene?
Yeah, so it'd be oxacetylene.
Mm. How has my sound been this whole time? Well, that
Oh,
was
you've been really good.
Flawless.
Yep, no issues
oh,
today.
yeah, because I never know how close I need to be to the microphone. I got it sitting all the way on my lap, probably a good 2 feet away from me right now.
Well, sounds like you got just the right distance on it.
Groovy. And I am kind of trying to keep my voice low so I'm not like blasting people either. So
Well, put tape marks down and write down all your settings. Because once you turn it off, Windows is going to change it for you.
Yep.
And no, Windows fans, that doesn't mean Windows is creative.
the corpse, of course. A corpse is a corpse, of course, and no
That's
one can
exactly
talk
what
to
I'm
a corpse,
thinking,
of course.
Mr. Ed.
Unless, of course, the famous corpse is the famous Mr. Dead.
Wilbur. What was that actor's name again?
For Wilbur?
Yeah, last name was Post, I believe. He was on
Yeah.
in the film the Time Machine with Rod Taylor. He played his buddy at home in England.
I used to know it too. Damn it.
The Morlocks scared the fuck out of me in that movie when I was a kid. God, it was
My mom said that too. She said that used to scare the shit out of her.
Let's go eat some Eloy. Eloy subs.
I don't know. By the time I saw it, I didn't think the Morlocks were very scary.
No, they're not, but they still trigger me, that memory from when I was a kid. So
Yeah. Alan Young was the actor in the original Mr. Ed.
Alan Young, yes.
Alan Young. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Alan Young was Wilbur.
Oh yeah. Wilbur
Alan
Post
Lane was the voice of the horse.
Yeah, Wilbur Post was the character.
Yeah. Apparently, they did a remake of it. I was never aware of that.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking it up on IMDb.
Remember the movie series with Chill Wills and Francis the Talking Mule?
I remember my mom talking about it. I never got to
Oh,
watch a
okay.
lot of it.
Okay, it wasn't a remake. It's just in 2017 they did a documentary about the show.
Mm.
Sorry.
I wonder what it would be like if they remade Mr. Ed today.
Oh, I don't think they ever would. That's just too stupid of a
No.
premise.
No, I don't think people are as impressed by talking animals as they used to.
Well, although wasn't there that film a number of years back that was just talking animals, not
Yeah,
cartoon,
Babe.
but live action. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
did the gangbusters, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and then they tried to do a sequel to it, so they killed the idea. But I think that's just because they, did a really stupid sequel. Talking animals are great, and there you heard it from a talking rat. So well, a lot of the novel I'm working on goes around talking animals, but the point is that they're not really animals. It's just some of the aliens couldn't pass for humans, so they go for animals instead. And the Ornos disguise themselves as cats just because it's an easy cover. That way they can walk around among people and they can observe us, and people aren't likely to notice a cat acting strange. They would notice people acting strange.
I have to say, Nerdy might be a little biased.
Isn't buying ass prostitution?
It could be, or it's donkey farming.
Donkey husbandry.
There you go. They'll ask most women. They'll probably agree that they married a donkey.
What the heck is that? Some bird I don't recognize.
Oh, is it something we can see, or is it going to be too
No,
small here?
it's way too small. I can barely see it. But it flew up to the top of a light pole, and its flapping pattern looked like a. Oh, okay. It looked like a raptor of some sort, and son of a gun, it just flew over my head. It was. It looks like a kestrel. And it's so small. I just didn't recognize it right away. Too far away. He was carrying a mouse.
No, Dave. Demons are not animals. We're people, and we've gotten an undeserved rep over the years, I'd say.
Well,
I mean,
Bacon's saying selling is legal and fucking is legal. So why isn't selling fucking legal?
yeah.
Okay, here's the trick for you. If you're going to pay someone to fuck, make sure you have a camera running, because filming pornography is legal.
There you go.
And it's legal to pay someone to act in a porno movie.
Good point. I think I'll start bringing along when I'm doing those tricks now.
Nerdy's getting a medical team for the mouse.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Nerdy. I didn't mean to be insensitive here. That the kestrel had one of your relatives and all.
What do you call it when J.K. Rowling gets shot into space? An
That's what-
astroturf.
I like it. Boy, did she fuck herself over. I mean, she's going to continue to be rich forever, but you know, she used to just be darling of the world. Now she's just got huge numbers of people who hate her.
Yeah, but like you say, it's not going to affect her bank balance seriously.
No, it won't.
Because unfortunately, most people, even though they hate her, are still going to buy the books and see the movies as the new stuff comes out. And I have no idea whether her new stuff is any good or not.
I need to go use the outhouse again.
My computer is being painfully slow lately. Trying to look anything up here. Yep.
So the phone's not cutting out. You can actually see me driving, huh?
Yep.
Yep.
You still sound fine.
Well, actually, I've had lots of trouble hearing you off and on there, Jenny. Not always, but sometimes.
I don't care.
Okay.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, okay, nerdy, why would I want Windows 11? I don't really know anything about Windows 11. I'm just wondering if this is going to be the one that they finally get honest and say they don't give a fuck about the customers anymore. Or that they're going to give up all pretense that you actually had any choices, like whether or not to upgrade at the worst possible time. Oh. Yep.
They're still blowing smoke.
Yeah. Not good for you, but I know how hard it is to give that stuff up. Well, actually, I don't know personally, but
It's pretty hard. That is a nice view. I'm digging that right now. And I can look at the sky and not have to deal with real sunlight.
it's at least filtered.
Well, you
I
know
wonder
what?
how much the rain on the windshield helps.
Well, but whatever comes through your video screen isn't going to be real sunlight.
Yeah.
Well, this is good. My car really needed a wash.
Yeah, the issue I've been having with Windows updating is because it wastes a half an hour before it can shut down because it says it's doing an update. And then when I try to boot it up again, it wastes another half an hour telling me it couldn't complete the update and is putting things back to how they were. But it never gives me the choice of telling it that I know you're not actually going to accomplish an update, so don't bother trying. It's just wasting my time. And that really sucks when it's something that, like, I have to get online at a certain time.
See, my Macs, what they do about all that noise, and my iPhone too, and my iPad too, is it keeps records on when I'm on it and when I'm off of it. And when it finds a pattern, it will download the system update when I'm in bed. And then later, it will ask me if I want to do an update. And if I say yes, it will. And if I say no, it doesn't. But it'll ask me again some other day.
Well, that's the problem, that Windows needs to try asking. It needs to ask me, is this a good time to do an update?
But you know, those apples are horrible.
Yeah.
Well, and what you're describing wouldn't work with me, because if it's trying to find a pattern, good fucking luck.
Oh no, it will do partial downloads. If it finds the patterns where, like, every day, you know, it gets an hour free or something like that, it'll use that to get whatever it can and pick the download up later.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't have any kind of pattern for it to pick up on. I have a lot of problems with that. You know, Google search too is like trying to find a pattern of what I'm interested in and things like that. It's like, no, because what I was searching for today has nothing to do with what I searched for last week. But yeah, I think I should probably wrap it up here, and I still have some phone calls to make today.
What time you got?
A little after 2.
Yeah, almost 10 after 2.
Okay, well, that works out for me then.
So anybody have anything coming up? Jenny, I know you'll be on movie night.
Well, I'll be on Mid-America chats on Thursday night at midnight.
Oh, nobody pays any attention to that stuff.
I don't know. It's a fairly popular show.
Well, I've got my birthday coming up on Monday. Just throw that out.
Oh dear.
On Monday?
Yep.
How old you gonna be, huh?
I can't count that high. No, I'll be 57 on Monday.
Oh,
and then Diana's is the day after mine.
And she'll be 136, right?
I don't think she's quite in the triple digits yet.
That's for you, Diane, if you happen to be lurking.
I think she might be one of those people who winds up watching this later on.
Oh, okay. Love you, Diana.
Yeah, I think she might actually be at her dialysis right now. Okay, well, any final thoughts? Anybody have anything to say before we shut it down here?
My birthday's coming up in a couple months, September. And
Oh yeah, September.
I'll be turning 47.
When in September?
26th.
Okay.
Mine is on the 30th, and I'll be turning 67.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Whoa.
So we're evenly spaced 10 years apart here, huh?
Oh, bizarre.
Okay, well, with that, we'll say goodbye to all the young whippersnappers in the side chat.
It's been lovely as always.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
ETFN.